There's stuff that goes on in the background. You don't know who people are, you know? So you could be giving people a platform. You know, people maybe have an opinion on, you shouldn't be giving that person airtime. This has happened. So yeah, I was in the band for like nearly 10 years and it was heavy in terms of like my lifestyle and not being good for me and things like that. And then when it ended, I was sort of lost.
Ireland's first female combat sports presenter.
So I literally started on Snapchat.
Your own personal Snapchat.
Yeah, I used to buy tickets to shows, like local boxing shows. There was a time when all doors were closed on me. So at the start, some of the complaint was she's got no experience because she's just a YouTuber or whatever. I see people who were involved in it that really don't have that same...
There's no interest in it.
No interest. Just want to be on TV. I feel like you're selling a lie to like all those viewers.
Thanks so much for coming on, Lydia.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So you are a combative TV presenter.
That's right.
So how did you start doing that?
How did I start? Well, I was in music first in my 20s and I was kind of wrapped up in being a musician and a singer.
You were in a band.
I was, yeah.
I was only looking at the videos on your that was blonde hair and all.
I had blonde hair and then I had jet black hair for like, it was like half and half, but
yeah. How old are you?
39.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
No, you're not. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those people are like, how old are you?
That's because I was looking at the videos. I was like, you look around my age then.
Yeah. I seem to be.
You look younger now.
Yeah, I think everyone is.
Yeah.
You look like. Well, I really look after myself now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I don't drink. I'm really into like health, wellness, kind of natural products, holistic, health. So it's definitely like.
Done your wonders.
Done me good. Like obviously I'm into like, like whatever we do for like our beauty bits and stuff like that. But yeah, I think like just lifestyle is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't have kids. I don't have a stress. I love my job. I don't have a stressful job. Work-life balance is like super important to me and things like that. So
sorry, so we are literally completely went off
going in different directions. But so yeah, I was in the band for like nearly 10 years and it was pretty heavy in terms of like my lifestyle and not being good for me and things like that. And then when it ended, I was sort of lost. I didn't know what to do, didn't know who I was, different things. And I started jiu-jitsu, which is like a grappling based martial arts.
Yeah.
And it just changed everything for me. Like it totally transformed who I am, how I thought about life. And it led me to like a journey of self-care, healing, therapy, wellness. And when I was doing it, I was like, I had gotten into it through, I'd obviously been aware of it, and the UFC and MMA and stuff and boxing obviously. But it was a friend of mine who was like, you should try it. You'd be really, really good at it. I was like, I'm into music, I'm creative, I'm not.
It was a completely different thing altogether.
Yeah, I was like, I couldn't even imagine, I didn't even know what I would say when you walk into a gym, like, hello, I couldn't see myself doing it at all. And I just went. I honestly think it was like divine intervention in some way, because I remember the first day I went to go to a class. And I was like, it's the gym is out in Dunleary, and I was like walking down the street. And I remember just walking past it, like up pacing the road. I can't go in. And then I ended up being late. I went in and it was like, yeah, quick, come on in, you get, there was no fuss made. And yeah, it just changed my life. I like stopped drinking. I was been taking like prescription drugs like Xanax and stuff to kind of keep my mind, dead, I suppose. Or like,
is that a lot? Like or we just on the weekends kind of thing?
No, it was all the time. Yeah, it was all the time. And I didn't think like it wasn't like in a sort of like a party way. I was self-medicating because I was like, I'm not well. Like in my own head, I'm not well. Like
you felt like that helped you to feel better, did you?
It made me feel better because I couldn't think. I would just be like drooling on myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I would completely be shut down. I would be calm. I would be like tranquilized, from everything that was going on. And I knew that like addiction and, alcohol, and I knew that it wasn't me. you know, like I didn't ever feel like it was something that
You knew that's not what you wanted. Like,
and I knew it wasn't for me, and I never thought that I had a problem because I've always had really good willpower. Like I smoked for years, I quit on my own back, you know. Then when I ended up doing jiu-jitsu and alcohol and all the prescription stuff, I just quit. I just woke up and I just didn't drink one day, and I just didn't. And I totally appreciate that. Like not everyone is as lucky as that to have that you know, ability to be able to do that. But that's how I knew I wasn't actually addicted. It was just a habit, if that makes sense, you know. And it was a habit of bad lifestyle, but I knew I had to stop. So then when I, you know, I suppose I had like a resurgence where I was like, oh my God, like I feel like I'm bored again. I'm like finally living. I've never experienced like being this healthy, you know, having friends who didn't drink. They also done jiu-jitsu. They were, you know, into things like sea swimming and go for coffee and like cooking really nice food and sitting around and talking about emotions and like, you know, how we process our feelings and like, you know, psychology.
completely different surroundings.
Completely different, you know. But I found that I was like, these are my people. I was like, I actually, you know, I don't feel energy drained. I don't feel like when I walk away that, you know, I just feel like this is my community. This is my tribe, which is like the, you know, age old thing, you know, your tribe will appear to you when the time is right.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it just led me on this journey of competing, training. I zoned out of like, you know, life as I used to know it, like a public image from the band, social media, all that stuff. I essentially went missing.
So is this like, so was this after the band?
It was after, yeah.
You're right. Okay.
Yeah. So it was like, you know.
I feel like they say that, don't they? Like people in the music saying they tend to be taking like drugs and drinking. And do you think that's where that came from? Or
yeah, like 100%. I mean, it's such an unnatural lifestyle, and it's such an unnatural like way of being, in that it's not normal to go on stage in front of like 100, 3,000, 5,000 people and to perform. Like it takes a lot, like, you know, physically in your body to, you know, when you walk out on stage for the first time, or even if you're like have to get up and talk in front of a room for the first time, you know the way that it makes your body feel. It's like your nerves, your adrenaline, you know, you're like, there's a million things that you're processing. It's exactly the same what it was for me.
And how many people was like at max? He's toured, I'm pretty sure how he's toured the world, didn't he?
Yeah. We were very healthy. And, you know, I always think that we definitely had the talent, we definitely had the songs, we definitely had the image, the rock and roll kind of X factor, I suppose, to be much bigger than we were. But we had bad direction, bad management, bad labels. You know, we were all young and unable to like properly communicate. Like I was definitely, you know.
How old were you? Did you say you were when you were in the band?
I would have been like in my early 20s when we started.
Right,
yeah.
okay.
Like the lads would have been a little bit older than me. But yeah, like just when I look back on it now, just how I handle situations, like the conversations that I would have around the band, or like, you know, direction and stuff. It was only, you know, it could only go one way, and that was like total destruction, which is what happened. But it made me then, you know, be very, very aware of myself and my surroundings when I moved on to what I call like the next chapter of my life, which was all the kind of combat sports and martial arts.
Yeah. And how, so obviously you got into oh my God, why is that like a tongue twister? Jiu-jitsu,
yeah.
And then, so how is it that you got into TV presenting then? Like, how did you go from that?
So there was a guy that I know that was like, we need someone to cover like social media and a bit of like coordination stuff for an MMA event that's happening in the 3 Arena. And this is a promotion called BAMA. If you know, like Bellator, it was like the early stages of Bellator Europe. And so he was like, would you come and just take like some social media and like, you know, do stuff like make sure that the fighters get to their hotel, like just little bits and bobs. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'd love to. And then when I went down and I started it, I was like, oh my God, I was like, this, like the world of martial arts is not being represented properly because no one knows like this is going on, whether it was like sold out crowd in the Tree Arena, or I remember I had this moment where I was walking backstage, and if you've ever been backstage in the Tree Arena?
No.
So there's like long corridors with like dressing rooms on all different sides.
Right, yeah.
So it was like you'd walk down and there'd be like a fighter cut open, like with doctors looking at him, like saying like, oh, you have to go down and get stitched up. There'd be someone in another room celebrating, someone else warming up, someone else bored and crying because they've lost. Like there was all these rooms of like, you know, really intense emotion and stuff going on. And I was like, oh, this is like,
I've seen that now kind of on
exactly
telly and on social media. But when you say back then, there was none of that.
There was nothing. And even like, you know, post-fight interviews or interviews with fighters, it was all like real static. It was all like the news. It was all real technical, like technical wording, jargon. And I was like, no, people who don't train or who fight won't understand this, won't get it. Like it won't resonate with them.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's a middle ground.
Yeah, when I see some of the stuff, I'm like, I don't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. But like you'll find that there's certain media outlets that you'll watch it and you'll be like, oh, that's really interesting because, you know, there's an entertainment factor to it. Right, so I was like, okay, I'm going to start. Like this is what I'm going to do. So I literally started on Snapchat, and then I remember,
on just your own personal Snapchat.
Yeah, like I used to buy tickets to shows, like local boxing shows, local MMA shows, and you just go.
Can you buy a ticket and like get in backstage?
At the time I couldn't, so I used to sit in the front row, like.
Right, okay.
Now I'm like, again, divine intervention. Like I would probably
literally, God, there's our biggest fan.
Yeah, and I'm like, let's run us back again, like, you know. And I was so like, you know, just I didn't fit in. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't fit into the sort of like environment straight away. I must have stood out like a sore thumb because I was like, just, you know, first events, first understanding of what's going on. And
did you not understand anything to do with boxing? Or
I had an idea, but like I wouldn't have been able to score a fight. I wouldn't have been able to like watch a fight and see who's getting the upper hand, or unless someone was clearly being, you know, getting the underhand or the overhand at someone. But so all that stuff came, but at the start I didn't.
So did you obviously buy a ticket in the first row, bring your own, like obviously mics and stuff like that? Were you allowed?
Oh no, I was on a phone.
Oh, just saw that. Oh, and then like record that.
Yeah, and I started like Facebook Live, and then eventually I led on to Instagram.
And then were you trying to get and asking them questions, or just recording the actual fight?
Just the events, yeah.
Right, okay.
And like, you know, sitting in the front row and like taking videos of like the walkouts and like the results.
Oh, and you were talking in the back of it, like saying,
not even.
No, all right, okay. So how did that start then?
So then I went to cover a show called Akuma in Antrim, and when I got there, the promoter was like, I've known to do post-fight interviews, so can you do a post-fight interview? I was like, oh no, I was only going to film like a 360 events promo. You know, that was it. Yeah. And I was like, oh no, I can't do interviews. I'm not an interviewer. And he was like, well, this other media outlet who were the only one in Ireland that were doing kind of interviews at that time hadn't showed up, and he was fuming, and he was like, please, I'm after being let down, please do it. So I had this guy that was filming with me for a few months at the start. When I started, I had this big business plan. I was going to do like really slick 360 events, coverage videos, and then they'd be amazing, and we'd end up charging people for them, and then that would be the business. Never thought I would be in front of the camera at all. And I said, could we do it? And he's like, yeah. He's like, the mic on the camera is good enough, so we actually could do it. So I was like, right, well, we've nothing to lose, let's do it. So then I just had like a big, I don't know, I can't remember what like the technical term is on them, but they're like these big mics that, you know, you put them on the middle of the table and they've got like a big pop shield on them. I can't remember what the technical term is, but they're really ugly and they're huge, like a big old tape recorder. and I was using that, and they look terrible because you're not meant to use them for that, you know, for like one-to-one interviews. But anyway, we done it, and the interviews were actually really good. And I wasn't.
I'd say you were probably mad nervous. You were like,
I was super nervous, but then I was like, do you know what? Like, I know this sport now, and like I know what I'm watching, I know what I'm talking about, and I know I can carry a conversation with a fighter who's just had a fight, and to like recall back, you know, what's happened, different things. So that's what I done, you know, and it was that style that people immediately latched onto. One, like how cool that there is an Irish girl who's like out on her own, doing interviews, like covering all these events, and knows exactly what she's talking about, and is clued in, and is really, you know, like positive about the sport, relaxed, like, you know, entertaining, just wanting to like chat to the person. And the more that I done it, and the more that people realised that I wasn't in it for the wrong reasons, as in I'm only doing an interview because I want to be on TV or I want to be on the internet. I'm only doing it because I just want to be around fighters or anything like that. When they found out that, you know, okay, this girl is legit, she genuinely cares about fighters, about the journey, about the sport, she trains herself, everything changed, because it made the fighter or the person that I was interviewing just immediately relax, their shoulder relaxed. They knew they weren't going to be thrown under the bus. They knew that they weren't going to be asked like a stupid question, be made to look bad or anything like that. So yeah, it changed everything.
They obviously just do that just so they have like the better kind of media, isn't it? They try, like, see the way you were saying, they're not going to be asked a question to like make look stupid or whatever.
Yeah,
they're obviously just trying to get like the ins and outs to have better media coverage.
Yeah. Like even now you'll find, you know, there's so many, there's politics. There's been politics in the sport since day one, but there's even more politics.
What do you mean by politics? Like,
so, like, you know, when I started out, you had to be very careful about who you done interviews with and what teams or gyms maybe that you were supporting. There's stuff that goes on in the background. You don't know who people are, you know, so you could be giving people a platform, you could be giving them airtime, and there could be all this other stuff in the background that has, you know, had unfolded or something that, you know, people maybe have an opinion on. You shouldn't be giving that person airtime. This has happened, you know, this. There's just all these different things. Then the more successful I was getting, the more in demand I was getting, the more.
So would the fighters want them?
Fighters would be like interview promoters. Can you make sure that Lydia will be there? Can you make sure Fight Connect TV is there? And then maybe older media outlets that were kind of, you know, on the go over time, maybe a little bit longer than me. There was only a handful, one or two. Now, maybe they got their nose out of joint because now there was a new person that was getting backstage access, that was getting more access than them, that was getting better quality interviews than them. And so like the only way then for them to stop you doing that is to maybe say, she shouldn't be in here, or blah, 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 or she shouldn't be given access here. And
do you get a lot of that still?
Not now, because like I
have a big enough name now that
I have. There's respect on my name, I suppose, is what you would say. Now that there still is like times when I won't be known, or I still have to apply the same way that other media outlets would apply for passes and stuff like that. But over here, I'm really lucky that I just have to, you know, say, can I come, or I'll be there, and it's looked after. But that's 10 years of like really, really solid graft. Like, I mean, for anyone that is in MMA or in like the combat sports community in Ireland, like no one will ever be able to deny that I put the legwork in. I literally travelled up and down the country every single weekend.
You live in Waterford, so you're not.
So I was living in Dublin at the time. Right. So I was kind of in the middle, going up and down. And then obviously I moved to the UK. So then I was doing the UK scene for a couple of years. But to answer your question about the presenting, it literally came from that. It led to Fight Connect TV having this great platform online where people were, you know, interested in sharing the videos, and the profile was growing. And I had gotten a call from a producer from Virgin Media, Sinead Dalton, and she said, you know, I'm a producer in Virgin Media and we have this chat show. It's the Elaine show. It's like the Irish version of Loose Women. Was
that was interesting. You were supposed to ask that, yeah.
She was like, would you be interested in like doing a show? So immediately I was like, yes. I was like,
and what is the Elaine show? What is that?
So wait, have you ever seen Loose Women?
Oh no, I'm shocked when it comes to telly.
So well, that's not a bad thing. So it's a panel of women, usually like the host and 3 or 4 people on the panel, and they'll have like topics, current topics. So like, I don't know, the Manchester City footballer Kyle Walker is like obviously been out that he's after having another affair on his wife. So that would be the topic. And then it would be like, what's everyone's opinions on it?
And that would be the panel giving them the opinion?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, and it was really like for a national broadcaster, like a daytime TV, it's really, you know, it's a bit not risque, but it's like you can say things on it that maybe you couldn't say on other shows. So I was perfect for it because like I'm really opinionated. And I thought,
everyone likes someone who gives their own opinion instead of kind of keeps it to themselves and not says that.
Yeah, exactly.
Show your personality and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So that was like the start of 3 years working with Virgin Media and doing the show.
So you done that? I thought it was like every episode was a different panel or something for different.
No,
you were on that panel for 3 years.
They changed the panel. Yeah, they changed the panel every day. But I went on to kind of do shows like once every 2 weeks or whatever it might be for 3 years.
Right.
So they rotate like, we'll say 15 panelists, and every day there's a different person on the show.
Yeah, and you just kind of gave your opinion on like different media kind of.
Yeah, well, it could be like, I mean, it could be footballers, it could be sports, it could be gardening, it could be, you know, childcare, it could be whatever it is. You just give your opinion of what the topic is. So it was really, really cool. It was brilliant. And I'm not your average stereotypical like mid-30s female, you know what I mean? Like I have pretty much done everything that is like backwards, you know, in terms of like, I don't have kids, I'm not married, I don't have my own house.
Yeah.
You know, I've chosen like a life of freedom of just like chase the career, chase happiness, chase adventure, like say yes to everything that happens, like travel the world, like have no debt, have nothing hanging over me, and just like be free and do whatever I want whenever I want, which, you know, has worked out quite well for me.
And when you meet like really big celebrities, I've seen you talk to Katie Taylor.
Yeah.
Is it Eddie O'Hearn? I feel like I'm always pronouncing his second name.
Yeah. Eddie O'Hearn,
yeah. And like, do you get nervous or anything like that?
Not at all. No. I have like a confidence and an inbuilt. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure people look at my work and go like, she's not good enough. They're going
to say that about everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
not everyone's going to like you. You're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I've always felt like, because of my knowledge and because of like my backstory and my like absolute determination to not, you know, when there was a time when all doors were closed on me, when no one wanted, you know, at the start, like there was loads of stuff that went wrong, you know?
Yeah.
So I have a confidence when I go into any situation, when I look at other people that are doing the interviews, I'm like, you have not gone through 10 years of like what I have gone through. I know that for a fact, because I know that they're working for another media outlet, or they're, you know, just like a journalist, or they're doing this. Like, I'm the only person that's there that has actually built their own brand.
You're gonna say, yeah,
and has made the mistakes, and who's, you know, funded it herself. And there's not a lot of people out there that can say that, which is probably what I'm most proud of, and probably where I get my confidence from when I go into those situations.
And it's all just a social media base. It's not on the telly, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I feel like. Everyone watches their phone more now than they do the telly. So.
Exactly. And I think when I started then being put forward for television jobs, like, so at the start, some of the complaint was she's got no experience because she's just on social media based and she's just YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I'm grateful for is this sort of resurgence of the influencer of YouTube boxing, of crossover boxing, because when that happened and that started, the TV broadcasters were like, oh, okay, maybe it is actually okay if someone is really good but has only done online internet stuff. But you still do have to learn how to be a presenter on TV, like how to present, how to speak, you know, what not to say, how to stand, how to, whatever it might be. And I'm still learning. I'm definitely...
I'm like, what is the things that you shouldn't say on TV?
Well, I mean...
Horse words or something.
Or absolutely curse words. You know, having a strong opinion, having any opinion.
And
you know,
do you ever like say something and you're like, oh, can we cut that out?
All the time. Yeah. Like, and there's nothing worse than when you're live on like the BBC or like, you know, ESPN and you say something, because you think about like, you're doing a post-fight interview, the environment, the environment is so unnatural anyway, because you've just watched 10 rounds of boxing or whatever it is, and you literally, they announce the fighter as the winner, and then within half...
Have you ever said so? The other person won?
I've done it. I've done. Oh, there's so much. I've gotten records wrong. I've gotten weight classes wrong, or I've gotten titles wrong. Like, there's been loads of stuff.
And then did they get annoyed at you that if you say something wrong? Would do they?
No, the fighters never get annoyed. It will be more the broadcaster that will be like, you messed up there or whatever. But thankfully, it doesn't really happen anymore, because I know how to do the job properly now, as in proper research, proper notes, proper...
And you know, I feel like you have more confidence now, you're doing it longer, where if you were a bit more nervous or a bit more shy, you tend to mess up a bit more then.
And you learn tricks along the way where like you learn how to pause and you learn how to recalibrate your thoughts better, you know. So like you have to stay really calm. Someone is answering the question and you're looking like you're
listening.
You're in the moment.
What you're going to say next.
Title, last fight, who he fought there, what's next for him. So you're setting it up.
Yeah.
But there's an art to it, because you don't know who's going to win. So you have to be prepared for whoever's going to come down. And you have to be able to be informative, you know, properly deliver a good interview for the fans at home. But also you have to provide a good platform and a good interview for the fighter who's celebrating in this moment. Like you don't want it to be an anticlimax. You don't want them to come down and it's like, you know, you want to kind of raise all the spirits and make sure that this is a fabulous moment. And the reason I want to do that is because I've had, you know, in the past, fighters come to me like, you know, months or years after a particular moment, and they'll say, thank you so much. I have that post-fight interview. I have that memory of like, you were just so...
Yeah, they probably look back on that. They literally just came down and they're feeling unreal, and that's their first conversation. They obviously have that probably little clip. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Do you know, like even stuff like back in the day from, we'll say like all the Snapchats, all the little kind of like stories that you put on, you know, Instagram, you don't really think about much more than just, you know, a quick little 10-second snap or whatever it is. And then it's only like years later, I even do it now, I go into my archives and I just look back on like, you know, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. That's actually such a lovely thing to kind of see where you were, see what you were doing, because it makes you really go like, you know, guys, actually...
There's me laptop talking.
It makes you actually feel like, you know, that you've achieved something. Like you can look back at it and go, wow, this is really special.
Yeah, I have everything since I first opened my business on my phone, like pictures of the salon from the start. And when I do look back, I'm like, you do realise how far you've come.
Yeah.
Where if you just sit there, like you feel like you've gone nowhere.
Well, that's it. And I would be, and I'm sure you're the same as well. Like, and we've just met each other today, but I know from anyone who has their own business, is like business minded, has an entrepreneur's mind and driven, that it's really hard to look back and see how far you've come. You're always thinking, right now, chasing forward. I'm not where my goals are. You're always setting goals. And while that is essential and it's really necessary that you have to do that, it's also very difficult to be out of balance with that. Like there is a fine medium where you look to the future, you set your goals, but also you have to appreciate like the here and now. So that's something that as the journey goes on, I learn a little bit better.
Yeah, it can get real stressful, like thinking all the time that you're not where you want to be.
Yeah.
And then thinking that you're not, like that's what I said in the last episode that we were recording, that you're thinking you're not doing enough.
Yeah.
Kind of that as well.
Yeah.
And putting yourself down saying, oh, as you said, like, oh, that's not where I want to be yet.
Yeah.
But not realising how much graft and how much you've actually put into your business or whatever.
Yeah, totally. And I think as well with like TV presenting, it's, you know, it's a really, really difficult industry to be in, and you really need to have a lot of self-belief. You need to have a lot of confidence, and you need to have a lot of faith.
I'd say because you were a girl as well, you probably think that people look at you as you're not serious.
Yeah.
I'd think that if I was in your, I'd be like thinking, oh, they're going to be like, oh, who is she to know about anything about boxing?
Well, as well, that it's not only that, it's the opinion of some, not all, some boxing fans that only want to hear a male voice. But it's also broadcasters, and it's also television networks who literally say, you know, if there's a panel of 4 presenters or interviewers for a show or an event or whatever it is, like 3 of those are boxed off immediately for men. And there might not even be a slot for a woman, or maybe there is a slot for a woman, but it's not.
So straight away they'll give it to a man, like
straight away. So I mean, the idea that, you know, women can just walk into these jobs in sports, like absolute, like it's not a reality.
It's only if, like, you as yourself now, you've probably built up a good name. That's how you'll kind of get in there.
Yeah, and still need to keep growing, and still need to keep working. And like, you know, I'm not anywhere near like where I want to be in terms of like TV presenting and like being a sports presenter. But obviously now I'm in radio, so I'm like back here. I moved back from the UK to radio job.
So that's, you're on a radio in the UK. How did you?
Well, it's in Ireland. It's in the southeast of Ireland.
Oh, but it's actually broadcasted in the UK, is it?
No. It's Irish.
Okay,
Yeah,
you were saying I'm back and forth from the UK.
Yeah, so before I got the job in radio, I was flying back and forth for different presenting jobs in the UK.
Right.
And then the radio opportunity came up, and I was just like, okay. Originally, I was like, do I want to be in radio? Like, do I continue in television? Keep commuting back and forth. I lived in like Sheffield and the UK for like 2 years before I decided to move home. I was like, you know, is it working out for me? Am I fulfilling myself? Do I have a good work-life balance? You know, am I surrounded by good people? And the whole list was like, no. So I was like, okay, I need to come back home and just like assess who I am, what I'm going to do going forward, like, and just put a plan together for myself. So I had been kind of going back and forth, because you're not going to turn down jobs when they come in. So I was still commuting.
Cost you a lot of money, like.
Well, it was getting covers on the job, like they were paying for travel and stuff. But then I just had this job offer in the radio station, and you know, it's one of the biggest radio stations in the southeast. Gets like nearly 200,000 listeners.
What radio station is it?
It's Beat 102, 103.
Oh, right.
And they were like, we have a position for a sports presenter here. You'll have your own show, Saturday Sports Beat, and you can curate it to whatever you want, how you want it to be. And I was like, okay, this is a real challenge, because 1, it's radio, and 2, it's no longer just combat sports. I now have to branch out into other sports. So I was like, that is a challenge, but I love all sports. But broadcasting in different sports is different.
You're gonna have to study everything, and
no, obviously the Premier League and the different kind of
it's really a lot of prep that goes into that. Like
yeah. Well, you have like a 3-hour show, and
for 3 hours you're just talking about all different sports.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
All live. Yeah. So it's that thing. It's a pressure cooker,
and it's all live.
It's all live. Yeah.
No, like cut that out. Shouldn't have said that.
No. It's all live. Yeah.
Oh, stop
so it's all live. So when I started, I was like, oh my God, 3 hours live. You know, nearly 200,000 people listening. Like, what if I mess up? Like, what if and then you just have to. They give you like obviously a support and a brand guideline. And every radio station or a TV network or whoever it is, they'll always have like a brand identity of who their audience is. Like, is it a man? Is it a woman? Like what their name is, where they work, you know, what they do in their time off. So you have this sort of like visual of who you're speaking to. So I know when I present, I just think about that one person. So if it's like, you know, Kate or whatever, I'm just like, I'm speaking to Kate on this link, or I'm speaking to Martin, and that's who I've
just picture kind of your top to one
person, and then it just makes the vibe like so much nicer. But it's so free, and
do you have like kind of bullet points prepped?
Yeah, like so definitely, obviously, like, you know, if there's like any major news story, if there's like, you know, any kind of clip, or obviously like rugby, football, boxing, they're kind of like the three biggest sports because that's where the main interest in. So, you know, it'd be updating like, you know, the latest Premier League results, because when I'm on air, the Premier League is happening, or like the FA Cup or whatever the league is at the time. So yeah, it's like keeping tabs on, like, I'm on my screens. I'm like, you know, on the 7 different phones, like trying to track whatever.
Oh, have you? Yeah, like in front of you while you're doing it. Like.
Yeah, like we have a studio phone. I've got my own phone. I've got 2 PCs, and then I've got like a third monitor, which is like the desk. So you're obviously programming stuff. So that was a real challenge, because I went from, you know, self-recording like interviews for Fight Connect TV, or working in TV where...
You still do that?
No, I don't.
Oh, so you don't?
It's not gone. It's just...
So you don't do the presenting for the sports or like
for Fight Connect TV? I don't. It's on the back burner because it's just it's a full-time job. You know, it's too time consuming. And the TV presenting, I've turned down some stuff because I don't know. I feel like I want to be picky and selective about what I do.
Yeah, like something's not in picture, or if,
do you know what I mean? Like I want to. I've done 10 years of like all the shows, whether they're small shows, large shows. I've done them all, and you get into a habit where like or if you're like me, you just say yes to everything. So like someone says, "Oh, I've got this show on. I need a presenter." Blah blah. Like this,
you're probably thinking, oh, like anything that'll kind of show your face to grow your business.
Exactly.
But now you're kind of like, right, where's the stop to it? Like, what?
Now I'm like, you know, like yesterday's price is not today's price.
Whatever it is.
You know, and just it has to be worth it for me. I have to really want to be invested in what I'm doing and the event. And there's a couple of jobs that are out there that I'm like, they're on my vision board, they're on my goal boards, and I'm like, that's where my focus is at.
And would you reach out to them, or are you kind of like thinking maybe they'll reach out to me?
They know who I am. So there's conversations, and it's like, you know, maybe they're not back when kind of original talks happen. It's not the right time now, but maybe here, you know. And then I'm like, that's not okay for me, blah blah. So there's a few little things, but. I also have to remember that there's, you know, you can count on one hand the amount of women in combat sports that are presenters and who are knowledgeable, you know, like there's nothing worse than being absolutely so passionate and so just besotted by a sport and the people that are in it, and see people, not just presenters, but maybe across the board, see people who are involved in it that really don't have that same
no interest in it.
No interest. Just want to be on TV. Just want to be in, like,
or that's just their job and they're just getting it done and over with. Yeah.
Just want the picture for the gram, you know, with the marked up mic or whatever. And it's like, you know, it's just who I am. Like, I feel like you're selling a lie to like all those viewers who are, you know, they can believing that you actually care about the sport of boxing or MMA or whatever the sport is. But what you'll find is that these people get found out because it's like
no one's really interested to listen to that person because they're not asking. Like, it's like me. Yeah, I wouldn't have a clue about boxing if I went and asked like a boxer or whatever, a UFC fighter, a few questions. Like, I probably wouldn't be asking the right things if you are actually even interested in it.
But that's actually it, you know, it's knowing like what to say, the terminology, you know, how to counteract the answer that comes, you know, so you're listening to what they're saying. So if somebody answers a question you ask a question, they answer it, instead of just, you know, reading off your list or going like, and now I want to ask you about this, like you're actually listening to what they're saying. So it's more of a conversation, which is my skill set, is, you know, making the fighter or the person that I'm interviewing feel like this is actually a conversation. There just happens to be a camera that's filming it. And that's where the sort of entertainment factor is, and the enjoyment for the viewer is that they also feel like they're in like a private conversation.
And have you seen anything like backstage that's, as you said, there's a couple of things that'll happen and it's like absolutely hectic? I'd say...
In what way? Do you mean like just...
I don't know, like something crazy that you want to share with us? Like that.
Share, absolutely not.
You're probably, I'm like, really can't see.
Yeah, I'm like, when I retire, I'll come back and do another episode. I'll tell you then. But like, yeah, there's loads of stuff that happens. Like, it's the Wild West. It really is, like, you know.
Yeah, there's probably a fight before the fight.
Well, no, I don't actually that, but there's, you know, it's a little bubble. You know what I mean? Like the whole scene, like the combat, it's a bubble, and you know, it's like when you're in it and you're covering all the events every week, you kind of get lost in it and you don't really see the outside world, and you sort of lose a little bit of like perspective on like what life actually is. Well, that's what happened to me, is that, you know, you're just chasing event after event, and it's like tunnel vision, more content, more views, more this, more that, get this access, speak to this person, need that, you know, backstage interview, need a backstage pass, blah, blah, blah. And it's you're just chasing your tail all the time. And I had a personal goal for 2024 where I said, like, no more chasing, I'm only attracting, like, that's it. So here's where I'm at.
Do you have a vision board?
Yeah, always. I've had a vision board for like since I made that kind of crossover in jiu-jitsu and changed my lifestyle. Vision boards are like...
And you don't drink or now at all?
No.
Yeah. How have you not drank since then at all? Like,
no, it's been 8 months. Yeah. It's been 8 months. Christmas Eve I drank.
Yeah, well,
like I drank Christmas Eve, and Christmas Day I woke up and I just said, that's it. Like, I definitely know I'll never drink again.
Yeah, like I'm like, oh, that's the point.
Yeah, it's so counterproductive, and there's so many different like mediums of like why I don't want to drink. It's counterproductive to like the mission. It is carcinogenic. You know, there's no hiding that alcohol is carcinogenic. I'm trying to preserve my body and my like health for as long as possible. You get older, you realize the damage that alcohol has done, not only in a health sense, but like emotionally, mentally, you know, the families that are affected by alcohol, my own included. And I just don't want to be a statistic, don't want to like carry on that family like tradition. And there's people in my family who don't drink. My mom doesn't drink. Or if she does, like very, very rarely, like I've never seen her drunk, you know. My dad now, I've definitely seen drunk, but you know, just things like that where I was like, my brother doesn't drink, his girlfriend doesn't drink, you know, they're into health and fitness. And it's just, once you come out of the cycle of alcohol, you just look back and you go, oh my God, why are people doing that? I've probably gone to the other side now where I'm like really annoying to people. I'm really annoying to my friends because I'm
sorry,
like,
this thing has gone off. I'm just going to...
You're back. That's how deaf I am. I can't even hear it.
I should have put that on airplane mode before we started. I think it's buzzing.
But yeah, like, you know, I'm probably on the other side where I'm really annoying now to people because
that's like... That's what I feel like if I've said that a couple of times to my friends, I'm like, I'm not going to drink. And they're all like, you're not going to drink?
Yeah.
Like they kind of look at you as they're like, oh, you're going to be boring.
Yeah. But you're not bored. That's like, it's basically... You know,
like you're not going to be absolutely twisted. Like,
yeah, I'm like, I'll be able to keep notes on like us, and you know, you're not going to be on the level and on their vibe. And I definitely feel like that and have felt like that at times. Yeah, I've gone out, you know, with certain groups of friends, and you're like, do I actually even get off with you? Do you know what I mean? But
or you probably just a drinking buddy.
Yeah,
yeah, like a
or a group of friends who don't drink, and when we spend time together, you know, we just sit and talk, and it's like food and tea and like, you know,
Counselling
conversation
sessions.
Yeah. A few of our friends are therapists. Well, one's a criminal psychologist, the other
Oh,
is a therapist.
really? Oh my God.
So like our chats are like intense, and they're, you know, they just this our group chat is called the council. So we're like the council, but there's just is an incredible bunch of women who I met through jiu-jitsu that are like really liberated, free thinkers, like health at the core, you know, not following the normal route that, you know, women are.
And do you still oh my God, it's like I can't pronounce that word. You still do that, yeah?
Yeah. So obviously I train in Waterford, like Amber Jiu-Jitsu. So that is obviously, you know, it's difficult when you're working all the time to like maintain the consistency. And with jiu-jitsu, you have to be consistent. You have to be there a couple of times
a week, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely to do it well, or to like get the true benefit out of it, you would have to.
I kept saying now, I know you're like, after putting that thought in my head again, I'd love to join boxing, because I feel it's like you wouldn't even see, it wouldn't feel like a workout.
Yeah.
If I'd enjoy it.
That's the reason why jiu-jitsu was so impactful for me. I was like, this is like, you know, people used to say to me, like, what are you doing when you go there? And I'm going like, so you're in like a kimono, which is kind of like pajama, and you're like wrestling. It's like human chess. You're like wrestling to get the best position or to get out of a bad position. And they're like, and is it just girls you do it? We're like, no, it's like fellas, kids, everybody, you know. So the idea of,
it's like fun cardio, where cardio is
the idea of wrestling a 120 kilo man like is just completely normal to me. Do you know? And it's like, it's just so, there is no greater feeling than, I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. So obviously like black. So like white, blue, purple, brown, black. So I'm halfway to a black belt.
Right. And how long does it not? You were doing it 10 years or something?
I've doing it 10 years, but I was out for a year with a really bad injury, and then I was in the UK and stuff. But normally, if you're training all the time, a couple of times per year, it depends. Could be 10 years, could be 15 years. It depends on your activity. It depends on the coach you're with.
Yeah.
But it is.
I wouldn't want to be in a wrestling match to shoot.
But definitely not if you've no experience now. But there is no better feeling than like going to training, and there's a fella and he's a white belt and he's only there a couple of months, and he thinks like,
because you're a girl, like,
go easy on you, and you choke him out or you armbar him, like, and you just the humbleness that comes across.
Yeah, he's sort of like
they're so disorientated where they're like, oh my God, like this is not normal, like this is not meant to happen. And it's just such an empowering feeling, and it doesn't happen all the time, because obviously men biologically have a huge advantage over women, but there is those times when you do get like the upper hand on someone, and it's, you know, it's brilliant.
Yeah. And you have your own podcast as well.
Yeah, the First Exchange podcast. Now, we've done 2 series, and you know, there is talks about a 3rd series, but it's about balance of work. It's finding the right, you know, production. You know, the last time I just done audio, now I want to do visual, because obviously, you know, the rise of social media with cameras and clips and all that.
As much content as you can get.
Yeah, like
from every angle.
Yeah, you have to make it valuable, and you have to put in like an audience from wherever you can to grow it. Yeah. So yeah, I would love to get the 3rd series.
And the podcast isn't just about like sports. It's all different guests.
Series 1, we done all different guests, and that was kind of really different because I had done sport for so long. But it was people who are in the community in Ireland who are doing something, you know, whether it is they're running like a marathon for charity, or they're working with St. Vincent de Paul, or they'd had a really bad accident where they lost a leg, or they're an actor or a comedian. It was like, come in, who are you? How did you get there? What was the journey? What were the ups? What were the downs? Tell us about it. And it was brilliant. If I'm allowed to say that about my own podcast.
Doesn't feel like work.
No, not at all.
I feel like with this, it's just chatting.
Yeah. And it's just such like, you know, love meeting people, love, you know, hearing about
their experiences
and struggles and stuff like that. And it just makes you then go, yeah, like there's more of me out there. Do you know what I mean? You can find a common ground with someone and go, God, yeah, you get re-energized to like continue on.
Yeah, like that's a sort of some days on our podcast. I did be all like hyped up and all. Like,
Yeah.
bad excited with the people that you meet as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
amazing.
that like after you finish and you're like, you know, I always call it like, you know, pop bottles feeling, because I'd always be like, go pop bottles. But like I always feel like I want to go for drinks after I do like a, you know, TV presenting or my radio show, because you just got that adrenaline, and I'm probably used to it from being in the band where like you come off stage and you go out on the session or whatever it might be. So I still always have that little thing, and then I have to, okay, no, take a moment here, get a pint of 0% Guinness or something, and then
They here, like I know someone who was drinking 0% Heineken, and they actually had a bad hangover the next day.
yeah, they're saying placebo is like huge with 0%. I haven't.
Oh, I just placebo, would it be?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be sure, there's no way they could.
Because they obviously put, but there's obviously something in it that could probably like turn your stomach.
Well, there's definitely maybe some. I know. Well, actually, I don't know. I had heard just. I don't know when we say it, but that Guinness had recalled most of their 0%. That they had to reconfigure the barrels. No, the barrels that the 0 was in, because it was actually starting to ferment. So it was turning into alcohol. But they had to take it off the market, and now it's back on draft. So that's what a barman told me at my local bar. So
it's fine. I'm not sure. Yeah.
But you know, I do like a pint of 0% Guinness.
Do you? Yeah, I'm not into beer at all.
Yeah, I do. I really enjoy it. I wouldn't really drink anything.
0% cider.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. You pretty much.
To be honest, I can't even like. I feel like it all bloats me. I get such a like bloated stomach, and then I feel like shite.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if it's 0%, what's the point? So you're gonna feel like shit.
Yeah, well, that's it. And like the only thing I miss will be red wine. Like I love red wine.
Yeah. See, I don't even like drink. I don't even drink.
Yeah.
I don't even like wine.
Yeah, no, I definitely miss wine, but the 0% they're desperate. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I was like, I might go around with a glass of like tonic and water and just be like, oh no, I'm drinking. I'm just not saying it, and no one even know.
It's when people see that you're like, if they don't know that it's 0%, I think everyone kind of gets off your back a little bit. You know?
Yeah, because I feel like if you're walking around with no glass, you'd be like, oh come on, I'll get you a drink.
Yeah,
I'll get you a drink.
Yeah,
and then you're like, and then you give me
one, just have one. So I always have my car up me. I'm like, I can't. I'm driving, you know. And it's like, it's here. I'm like, I can't. I need it for the morning. And then, you know, it gets to a stage where people are like, they're okay with it, and then I just drive it home.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You were probably the one bringing everyone locked home.
Like, if you want to lift home, I'm going now, or and you know, some will come and some will stay out. But yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on.
No problem.
So if anyone is looking to reach out, where can they find you?
On Instagram at Lydia, it's just my name. You can listen to me on Saturdays, Saturday Sports Beat on Beat 102, 103. The First Exchange podcast is out there as well, and also Fight Connect TV is online too. So
you don't have a date yet around for the podcast when it's
nothing yet. No. Maybe this will inspire me to like get the
putting it out there.
Yeah. To be honest, I'd love to create my own space. I'd like to have
your own areas,
my own thing, build it up, design, have the set exactly how I want it.
Yeah.
And then do it that way, you know, so that it's like a nice space that I can like. My problem is fully committing to.
Yeah, it is a lot of work. It's a lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Because it's like you're finding the guests. I feel like people don't see the behind the scenes of what goes into it.
Yeah.
Finding the guests.
Yeah.
Like, and then searching, looking into the guests.
Yeah.
And then obviously the editing, the recording and all that. It's like, it's a lot.
It's a lot of work. Yeah. So I always I'm like, share this podcast, because a lot of work goes into it. And it definitely, you know, people should really support and get behind Irish independent creatives, media outlets, because it's really, really difficult, and it's almost like fighting an uphill battle a lot of the time. So it's really important to, even if it's so much as like sharing it on your story, like get their algorithm up. It costs nothing to do it, because the day will come where they're not around, or you know, your only option is mainstream media, and that's not a bad thing, but there is beauty in independent and creative media as well.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on, Lydia.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and follow us on Instagram at Demi's Nails and Beauty or our podcast page, Unlocked Potential Podcast. See you next time.